we have bagels, guys. I did a few plain ones. I added everything bagel seasoning to a few, and then these are brown sugar and cinnamon. Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Janae and this is Janae's Kitchen. In today's video, I'll be sharing another 2-ingredient bread recipe, but this time it's a recipe for bagels. You guys really seem to love these 2-ingredient recipes, so I decided to give this one a try. My first batch came out a little ugly. I'll insert a clip somewhere here on the screen, but I practiced a little bit more and this batch came out really good. I do have to work on kneading the dough a little bit, so if there's any bakers watching, if you have some tips for me, some easy tips, go ahead and drop that in the comment. So I made an assortment this time. I went with everything bagel, plain, and a brown sugar and cinnamon. I'll also be sharing 2 different ways that you guys can make these bagels. But the best thing about them, as I mentioned earlier, it's only going to require 2 ingredients, and that is going to be self-rising flour and plain Greek yogurt. Finally said it right. Good job. But as I stated earlier, it'll only require 2 ingredients, which are self-rising flour and plain Greek yogurt. So if this sounds like something that is interesting to you, stay tuned for the recipe. Let's make some bagels. All right, guys, as always, go ahead and check the description box where I will have a list of all the supplies that you'll need to make these. Let's get started. I'm starting off with 1 3/4 cups of self-rising flour, followed by 1 cup of plain Greek yogurt. Next, I'm going to take my wooden spoon and just mix the 2 ingredients together until the dough begins to form. It's going to look dry and kind of crumbly. And then next, I'll begin the kneading process. Adding some flour to my countertop here, and then I'm just going to dump the dough on the counter and begin to just fold the ingredients into one another. The more that I do this, the best way I can explain it is that it feels kind of like Play-Doh, and you don't want the dough to be too sticky, but you also don't want it to be too dry. And remember guys, I'm not a pro at this. I'm basically just going to repeat these steps a few times, and then I'm going to form a ball. Once I have my ball formed, I'm going to flatten it and then cut it into 4 even pieces. Now that I have my dough portioned out, I'm going to roll it into 4 balls, and then I'm going to take my thumb and my middle finger and pinch a hole in the dough. Stretch it out a little bit to form a bagel. Next, I'll be brushing each of the bagels with an egg wash and adding some everything bagel seasoning to them. I'll be baking these on 350 degrees for about 25 minutes. While those are in the oven, let's move on to the second method. All right, so for method number 2, I used 1.5 cups of self-rising flour, which I sifted, and then 1 cup of Greek yogurt. I'll repeat the same exact process that you saw in method number 1. Mix the dough, then knead the dough, form it into a ball, smash it down, cut it into 4 equal parts, and make the bagels. But I'm going to dunk these in boiling water for about 1 minute and 20 seconds. So after about 1 minute, I'm gonna flip them over and let them stay in the pot for another 20 seconds. And because I've dunked them in this boiling water, no egg wash is needed. Alright you guys, so I'm almost done. I decided to add a little bit of brown sugar and cinnamon to this batch and baked it on 425 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 minutes. I would suggest maybe baking it directly on your baking sheet or maybe spraying your parchment paper with a little bit of oil to prevent sticking. Alright guys, and so they're done. I did a few plain ones. I added everything bagel seasoning to a few, and then these are brown sugar and cinnamon. Alright guys, so I just had to come back really quick. I had the brown sugar and cinnamon ones, and listen, delicious. Please, please, please give this recipe a try. It's so good. You will not be disappointed. So what I found after making these two different ways was that the ones that I put in the boiling water, I really like the texture of the bagel better. Hopefully you can see that. It really reminds me of a Einstein bagel. If you have an Einstein bagel near you, you'll know what I'm talking about. I like Einstein bagels because you don't even really need to toast them. I can eat them just as is, and this bagel reminds me of that. So this is the one, the brown sugar cinnamon one, that I dipped in that hot boiling water for about a minute and 20 seconds. All right, these are the ones that I did not. Oh, and I also sifted the flour on these. A lot of the recipes didn't call for the flour to be sifted, but I wanted to do it just to see if it made a difference, and I think that it did. So these are the brown sugar ones that were dipped in water. Now these are the everything bagel ones that I did not put these in the boiling water. These also came out really good, but the texture is a little different. They're a little bit more grainy. That could be because I didn't sift the flour. I'm not sure. Again, if there are any bakers watching, let me know. So if anyone watching has already seen or made the 2-ingredient bagel recipe, leave me a comment, let me know your thoughts. But after making these a few times, my takeaway is that it's best to dip them in the boiling water and then bake them. Alright you guys, I'm gonna get out of here. But before I go, if you have a recipe that you would like for me to try, go ahead and send me an email at janaiskitchen@gmail.com. As always, go ahead and check the description box for any additional information you might be looking for, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.